We grow through adversity, challenges, and pain, physical or emotional. We don't like it, but if you can step aside and know everything has a higher purpose, then when you're enmeshed in that, it's going to have less power over you. And you're more apt to remember to stay in your God power. In that God power, divine grace enters. I can't say that enough, and you'll hear about that in my story. One thing I encourage my clients to do, and I have done the same thing, is come up with a mantra that you can use every day on the little frustrations. Whether you stub your toe or misplace your keys or someone cuts you off on the road, come up with that mantra and allow that mantra, remind yourself to come back to center. Because everything is about not letting anything out here control us. Take our innate God power from us. That power is within us. But yet we've just covered it up for years and lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes with the ego running the show. The ego is the thought system of fear and separation from God. The ego feeds off anger and blame and judgment and unworthiness. It's our opportunity. I love that word. Every challenge is an opportunity for us to step into our power. Remember, there is only one power in presence in this universe, God the Good. We are that God power. And on November 3rd, 2005, literally, that's 14 years ago this week, I had the opportunity of a lifetime to embrace my innate power, my oneness with God. I was on my weekly mountain biking ride, and I was very adept at mountain biking. We rode twice a week. Every Thursday, my friend Charlie and I rode bikes. And we loved being out in nature getting exercise. And I loved going fast around the corners and leaning into the curves and going in and out of gullies, up and over piles of logs. And we had an area that was called the obstacle course area. And there was a teeter-totter, like you'd have on a playground. And you go up one side, and when you reach the fulcrum area, the weight of you and your bike take you down the other side. And we did that all the time. Well, this particular day, there was a bigger teeter-totter on the course. And I was game, felt right. And what I did, I had always done. I always put the Christ white light around me and my biking buddies. And when I'm getting my bike out of my SUV, I visualize putting it back into my SUV, knowing and intending that me and my bike got back in safely. And I did it that day. And then whenever I did this particular obstacle, it was new, I visualized myself on the other side. I did my spiritual work. And that's something we're all here to increase how much we do that. It's a journey. I tell people, don't judge yourself where you are. I don't want you to compare yourself to me except for an inspiration. Remember who you truly are. But everything is an opportunity to say, I could do more practice. I could bring spirit in. I could invite spirit in every day. And I encourage you to invite spirit in every morning when you wake up. Take charge of my day. And then let the little nudges and the wisdom come in. And trust that. So I'm doing this new obstacle. My friends were going to watch me do it. I go up to the top. And again, in mountain biking, speed is your friend, so I was going fast. I got to the top, and my bike stopped. But I went flying over my handlebars, knowing that I was heading head first into the ground. Later, my friend told me he heard my neck snap. I was instantly paralyzed. and then I stopped breathing. I was later told that I had the same injury as Christopher Reeve, the late Christopher Reeve. He was at a horse event, so he had immediate medical attention. And we know that he ended up in a wheelchair with a breathing apparatus. And I honor his journey because we know his soul experienced what his soul chose to from a higher perspective. And he brought so much awareness and research to spinal cord injury. It was a gift. And again, on a higher level, that was all in divine order. It was at a higher level that I chose a different outcome. Keep in mind that I could not move. I could not talk. And I could not breathe. Yet I share that I had all that I needed within me. I certainly didn't have EMS here. It took 17 minutes to get to me because I was in the woods. My friends were running off helping. Make sure I got the help. But I technically had no outside help. How often do we feel alone? But we're never alone. We got to remember, we're never alone. And there was a deep knowing that I was embracing, and I did daily, that I am one with God. I just felt I'm one with God. I wasn't afraid of dying. So in that moment, I had no resistance. You know, when we ask for help, especially for healing the body, but then we go around every day being in fear, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? We're literally blocking the healing light that's there for you. But again, I feel that I had that injury at a time in my life where I had learned a lot of that. And I was able to hold and surrender totally into my oneness with God. So I could not talk, move, or breathe. But I had everything I needed within me because I embraced my oneness with God. We're not separate from this energy. We're one with God. And I still had my mind. You know, I joke, I'm like, they say breath is everything. I didn't have breath. It's not quite everything. It's very important. But we always have our oneness with God. And I had my mind to choose the thoughts I was going to think. And that mantra I mentioned earlier, where I just would practice it every day. And the whole intent, I just think Spirit is so cool because I'm sure I was guided to do that for my clients so that I would do it. Guess what? Because it was a practice and a habit every day, that mantra emerged from me. It emerged. I didn't even have to say, what should I do next? Which would have been okay. So I invite you to come up with your mantra and practice it every day. And my mantra was, I refuse to accept this limitation. God is my source. I said that in my mind. Instantly, a lightning bolt of energy went through me. Well, I'm a quick learner, so I said that in my mind again. I refuse to accept this limitation. God is my source. Again, instantly, lightning bolt of energy went through me. A moment later, I got my breath back. You know, we all admit and say, yeah, we're pure energy, we're pure source. I'm a testament that when we get out of our fear, we are pure energy, we are pure source. And in that space, divine light entered in that lightning bolt of energy. I got my breath back. Later, I found out from my director of spine surgery at Duke Medical Center, he was my doctor, that there's no Western medical explanation of how I could have gotten my breath back. I had severe spinal cord injury. And he shared in the movie that everything pointed to I should have been dead at the scene. He said anybody that stops breathing at the scene they do not get to the hospital alive. So I get to the hospital, and they're telling me, you've broken your neck, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, that could be serious. Again, I'm choosing not to give it any power. And again, I'm a testament of what can happen, and I know you all have your own stories too. This is a severe opportunity to see it in another way. When we don't give something power and we surrender, the light of God enters, grace enters. And I told everyone who came in to see me in the emergency room, this is temporary, see me dancing. And that's where the song played a role. I love to dance. This is temporary, see me dancing. But how often do we give power to what's always happened in the past? Or what the doctors are going to tell you? It's human nature to do that, but we're unity people. We're powerful here. And I'm here to remind you that we're not our bodies. We're not our situations. And it's our opportunity to look at it from a different perspective, to embrace the oneness we are with God and choose that surrender, to allow the light in, to experience a different result than you've ever experienced before in the same situation. So my doctor did surgery. He went through the front of my neck, put a 2-inch screw in my totally severed C2 neck vertebra. Technically, my neck was not attached to my body. Severe spinal cord injury. He prepared my friends that I would still be a quadriplegic. He of little faith. And he admitted that to me. I don't have your faith. And that's his journey. I know it was so divinely guided that he was my doctor. So, when I woke up from surgery, I told them I did not want any pain medicine. I'm into holistic health. I eat very clean. I don't care to put chemicals in my body unless I choose to have something fun. And they stopped the pain drip. And I had zero pain. In that oneness with God, and this is where I feel that when I did my work, divine grace entered. And I was so committed to not having pain. Again, divine grace supported that. Now, I don't know all the little details, but I know we're one with God and grace enters when we can get out of our fear. They told me I'd be in ICU for 7 to 10 days. I said, I'll be out in 2 days. And I was out in
2 days.
2 days. They told me I'd be in the hospital at least 3 weeks. I said, I'll be out in a week. And I was out in a week. How often do we give the doctors power? Our body is moldable energy. It's pure spirit. It is pure potential. We get to choose our perspective. We get to choose who our teacher in our perspective is. And again, the ego wants to project fear. But we get to choose. I was moving quite soon after surgery. My legs were moving, and 18 hours after surgery, they got me up to do a little walking.
Oh, boy.
Now, my body felt totally like cement. I was moving through quadriplegia, remember? And they brought me out into the corridor, and it was a long corridor. And she wanted me to walk a little bit. But I visualized myself going down at the end. I visualized myself coming back. I did the visualization before I did anything as I was recuperating. I walked all the way down and all the way back unassisted. Again, my whole body felt like cement. But I knew who I was. I kept visualizing, see me dancing. During the day, I listened to Tom Kenyon's healing CDs. I did my inner work. And now I have healing CDs available myself that Spirit has imbued with activations with my products, books, and CDs to help you go to your next level of awareness with more ease. So in the hospital and after, I knew the healing that I desired was an inside job. I was thankful for the surgery. I was thankful for the support of the hospital. Yet the healing I desired was an inside job. And I asked friends to keep their visits very short. We really limited how many people even got to come in. They sent emails instead because I needed to go within. I needed to spend time listening to the healing CDs and doing my own inner work and visualizing with all the details and the feeling of excitement that I was dancing again. I got home. In the first 2 weeks, I was in bed most of the time. My body was doing amazing inner healing. I got up little spurts of time, but after that 2 weeks, my things just increased a lot. 3 weeks later was Thanksgiving Day, and you know I had a lot to be thankful for. And I walked 1.5 miles. 3 weeks later. 1 month later, I got my visualization of dancing. I went to the Raleigh Ski and Outing Club, which is where I met Charlie and my friends that I biked with, for an annual Christmas dance. Now, granted, I was there for an hour and I was exhausted. I felt like I could have fallen asleep standing up. My body was there. I locked elbows with a dancing partner and I danced a couple songs. And it was such joy and it was fun and it was uplifting to see friends all in one spot. We are not our bodies. We are not our problem. We are infinite in our possibilities. And again, it's just a journey to clear the muck and the doubt and the fear and the doubt away. 4 months later, I was driving my car. 8 months later, I went for an easy bike ride again. I was smart enough to never do obstacles again. I am fully functioning, though I do have some neuropathy in my hands and in my body, but it doesn't stop me from doing anything. And I am just so grateful that I got my breath back because of my beliefs, and I got to return to wholeness. And I want to share with you that, as I said earlier, everything has a higher purpose. If we can trust that immediately, and I've practiced that a long time, if we can trust it immediately, then we don't have that doubt. We may not understand it, but we don't have the doubt and the fear. And if you do, in unity here, we get back to it a whole lot quicker than the average person. But I want to share with you some synchronicities to remind you that we are one with Spirit. Spirit has our back, whether it looks like it or not. 2 years before I broke my neck, I was biking again. Spirit knew they could use my biking experiences for growth. And I was coming to a T in the path, and we were with a group of people. And I had to slow way down to turn right. When I slowed way down, my bike front tire hit a big root that stuck out. My bike stopped and I went over the handlebars. This time, I was going in slow motion, right down to the ground. Slow motion. And as the universe would have it, a friend that was leading the pack, and I was second, waited for us to catch up. So he even got to see the slow motion. How cool is that? It wasn't in my head. But I went over my handlebars and landed on the dirt and I had not one scratch on my arms or bare legs. Spirit took me to the ground slowly. But I was naive then, and before I realized that, my first thought was, where were you, Spirit? I thought they would have prevented all that. I grew more and deep in my belief that Spirit is always with us no matter how it looks, because they let me go over my handlebars. It's like as a parents, we have to sometimes let our kids go through challenges for them to learn it their way. I learned and embraced that so much. Oh my God, Spirit, you were here. You brought me to the ground slowly and safely. It just deepened my faith tremendously. So 2 years later, let's fast forward, I had already embraced that for 2 years. And that helped me not go into fear. A year and a half before I broke my neck, I became a back sleeper. I had been a side sleeper all my life. And the universe knew it would be easier for me to heal and not have to be very uncomfortable. So they got me sleeping on my back. So by the time I needed to heal on my back for months, I was very comfortable with it. Thank you, Spirit. That day, Charlie and I had rode together for a year and a half by ourselves on Thursday mornings. It's the only time another friend chose to join us. Andy chose to join us. And one of them needed to move it to the afternoon. Guess what? The best doctor at Duke was on call in the afternoon. And another way the universe orchestrated this, that's a teaching hospital. Heads of departments are rarely on call. But the day I needed it, he was on call. I mean, we've got to remember that we have to go through our challenges because we're growing somewhere, we're clearing something we need to clear, we're blessing somebody or us. Everything has a higher purpose. And that day was the only day that I took my cell phone out of my backpack and showed Charlie my in case of emergency numbers. How cool are we in our oneness with God? How cool are we? And the other really cool thing is 2 days before I broke my neck, I was listening to a Tom Kenyon, who does sound healing, video. And he was sharing the names of the doctors that he invokes from Spirit for his healing. Well, I had an MS client. So when he named 2 neurosurgeons' names, I wrote their names down. And guess what? 2 days later, after I got my breath back, I'm invoking those spiritual doctors of neurosurgery. Coincidence? No. Spirit? Yes. Thank you, Spirit. We are so much more than meets the eye. And the other big thing is we don't always know why we're going through pain and challenge, but if we can at least trust it has growth for us or a purpose, you're allowing that divine light to come through. I found out later that the reason I needed to break my neck this lifetime, that it was all in divine order, was because I had many, many lifetimes where I was killed or tortured for speaking my truth. Speaking your truth is in your throat chakra. My C2 is in my throat chakra. That literally cracking of my bones cleared the cellular memory of all those lifetimes. I'm here to speak my truth this lifetime and future lifetimes. I'm not here to deal with the fear that it's not safe to speak my truth. And we know at some unconscious level, before I came here, I put my hand up for this. Trust that everything has a higher purpose no matter what we're going through. So to recap, I just want to encourage you to come up with a mantra. Stay in your power. Practice staying in your power. Trust that everything has a higher purpose no matter what it looks like. Do your forgiveness over it. Bring in spirit. Learn, forgive, surrender, whatever is yours to do. And remember that when you get a chance to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance.